Currently, you are looking at a very rare species of moon moth from tropical Asia, the pink spirit moth.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is Bart Coppens, the sexy moth king. And today I am here with one of the most elusive and rarest species of moon moth, Actias rhodopneuma, the pink spirit moth. This is a species I wanted to breed since I was a young kid. Since I was 18 years old, which I still consider to be young, being at the ripe age of 27 at the moment. I always dreamed of obtaining this species in captivity and breeding them. Years and years have passed, and I never managed to obtain eggs or cocoons of this species until now. And finally, I am going to show you on YouTube how to breed this insect on this episode of MothCycles. I am really happy and really proud of this moment. And without further ado, let's start the intro. MothCycles, Actias rhodopneuma. Let's go. Boom.
The life cycle of this insect begins as usual as eggs. Expensive little eggs that is, that cost over $1 each, since it is a rare species. 14 days later, and at a modest temperature of 21 degrees Celsius, the first baby moon moths were coming out. Time to prepare their home. I used this setup for many species of moon moths and it works. Paper towel on the bottom of the container and some leaves is all you need for the babies. The types of leaves I used were rus or sumac, but also liquid amber or sweet gum. Be gentle when picking up the baby caterpillars. Personally, I prefer to use a stick or a stem or a type of leaf if I can. Perhaps it's a bit unprofessional of me to use a stick instead of a fine paintbrush, but I'm experienced, so don't worry. After a while, they settled on the leaves. The instar number 1 of this species is yellowish. The first instar does not last very long, just about 5 days. The babies are comfortable with being raised in plastic boxes, so good so far, right? And here comes the second instar, just about a week later. They have bluish dots. Interestingly, and have just gotten a whole lot prettier. They will spend a while feeding on their favorite leaves before transforming again. Both the first and the second instar can be raised in plastic boxes with pretty good results. But the real beauty is waiting for the next instar. Instar number 3. Simply amazing! Now they are green and they have blue tubercules on their body. Except their thoracical tubercules, which are bright yellow. Oh, and they're a bit hairier and bigger as well. So far so good. This species is not super difficult to breed, but they are more difficult than the average moon moth species for sure. If you want to breed this moth, practice with easier moon moths first. At this stage I had moved them out of the boxes and to cut branches of sweet gum plant it in bottles of water as I usually do. This method works well for a lot of species honestly, and is my standard way of raising silk moths. The temperature was 20 to 25 degrees Celsius. And then they were slowly getting ready once again to shed their cute little skins. This species is fast growing, thankfully. Yep, this is a whole forest full of rhodopneuma caterpillars feeding on sweet gum. This is a really straightforward species, and I guess you've seen plenty of moon moths on my channel before. And here is instar number 4. The increase in volume is noticeable, and now they really start to gain some biomass. They seem to grow very well on room temperature, around 21 degrees Celsius, with a humidity of about 70% to 80%. It helps that my room is kinda humid. All species of moon moths that I am aware of have 5 instars in total. Since this is 4 out of 5, they're getting closer to pupation now, although the final 2 instars take way more time than the first 3. Here's a small impression of the caterpillars I was raising. Those are good numbers, don't you think? All future moon moth cuties. If you ever get your hands on this legendary species, try not to overcrowd them. Keep them wet and humid and warm, and they will thrive on various plants. Look at these amazing little piggies, chewing and feeding on their favorite leaves, soon to reach perfection. They are nothing in comparison to the revolting, fat and disgusting pig called Bart Coppens though. I hate myself. Moon moths are an interesting group of animals to breed. There are numerous species of them, and most can be raised in a similar fashion. And on this channel we can study them together. There are numerous cycles of moon moths on my channel if you're interested. And before you know it, wow, they're instar number 5 already. These caterpillars are insanely gorgeous. It looks like they are encrusted with brilliant blue gemstones. Mind-blowingly beautiful if you ask me. What's really crazy is that our planet is filled to the brim with astonishingly beautiful animals like these, the real hidden treasures of the earth itself. Yet these animals are so extremely neglected and undervalued by humans as almost criminal. Such is the materialist nature of humans. We are so obsessed with having things in our possession that we neglect all that we cannot possess. Thankfully my channel is here to spread awareness about these animals and their conservation.
Ladies and gentlemen, the rhodopneuma are growing well, but they have to hurry up. The sweet gum trees will turn red in autumn, which will make them useless for breeding. So it's a race against time like never before. I'm a bit nervous. Caterpillars are looking healthy, are looking strong, but it's going to be a really close call. And that is dangerous. Yikes. Let's take a look.
Yep, as you can see, some leaves were turning yellow, soft and weak, because autumn was coming. Interestingly, the caterpillars do try to eat these leaves, but their nutritional value is horrible, and the caterpillars can struggle to grow, or even starve if they eat too many of these yellow leaves. And in no time, the leaves actually turned red. Look at that! Every year in autumn, at least where I live, sweet gum seems to prepare for winter by withdrawing the nutrients from its leaves, turning them yellow and later blood red. Well, I agree it's a beautiful sight to see these red sweet gum trees in autumn, but for a breeder like me this is terrible news. These leaves have very low nutrition and larvae don't grow very well on them at all. Thankfully I did find a few trees with some green leaves left, but it's a race against the clock. Good news, ladies and gentlemen, between the foliage here of my moth breeding cage, I was checking how they are doing and ta-da! Do you see what I see here in my fingers? If not, I will give you a close-up of it. See this right here, inside this leaf, we see our first cocoon. So that was surprisingly easy. Actias rhodopneuma is one of the rarest species of moon moths in captivity. One of the rarest and most difficult to obtain. So most of you are going to think, wow, you probably need to be some kind of expert then to breed these. Well, no, they're surprisingly easy. If I had to give them a rating, I would give them a 6.5 out of 10 difficulty. They're definitely a little bit more difficult than the average moon moth species, but if you can breed species like Actias sinensis, like Actias selene, then you can breed the pink spirit moth too. So the fact that something is rare and exquisite does not mean it's always difficult. There is one difficulty though, and that's the quality of the food plant. I feel like these caterpillars are a little bit smaller than they should be in Imstar number 5. That's because right now it is November and the quality of the food plant is pretty bad. Can you see this? Some of the leaves here are turning yellow. It's autumn. The nutrients are basically disappearing from the leaf. And you can see here some of this is just yellow. And this negatively impacts the size of our caterpillars, because even if some of the leaves are still green, the plant is basically pulling back all the nutrition. This is a slow and gradual process that doesn't happen overnight. So you can say that the food quality was a little bit poor, but still they made it. Still these rhodopneuma. So I guess you can say that we actually have MothCycles of this species on my channel. Wow. Wow, we have the life cycle of Actias rhodopneuma on my YouTube channel. I don't think there are any other YouTube channels that can do this, to be honest. I am really the only one out here on YouTube with this type of content. Oops, sorry, that sounds like bragging, but it is. It's a proud moment. It's a proud moment to capture the life cycle on camera of a very rare insect that's not studied very commonly. Wow, super.
So here it is, ladies and gentlemen, behind me. 2 cages full of spirit moth caterpillars. And we have already found the first cocoons. That means the life cycle is almost completed. I apologize for the poor lighting conditions here in this room. It is currently November, and in my country, in summer, the sun goes down very late. I think it's like 10 or 11 o'clock at night that the sun goes down. We have very long days in summer, which is great for filming. But in winter the opposite happens. Right now the sun goes down around 6 or 7 o'clock, and every day it's a little bit early. I think even in December the sun will go down around 4 o'clock, giving us almost a very short time of daylight and a lot of darkness. So this is why I don't like winter. It's bad for my YouTube channel, and the lighting indoors, I don't like filming indoors. I prefer to film my animals outside in sunlight. I do have a light ring here, which is my light source that I use indoors. Without this light ring, it would look even worse. So if you are a YouTuber, you definitely need equipment like this to illuminate your room a little bit. Anyway, caterpillars are growing very well. It was a very close call because of autumn. The leaves of these plants are almost turning yellow. Honestly, I don't think the caterpillars would have made it if they were just a few weeks older. One night frost can wipe out all the food plant, which will cause the caterpillars to starve because there is no leaf. Anyway, we are starting to find the first cocoons. So that's great. Here, take a look, all the caterpillars. If you are a breeder of silk moths, the last thing you want to do is throw away your prize, which is in this case the cocoons. Here I found another caterpillar, here constructing a cocoon. Can you see it? It's hard to see, but in here he's building a cocoon. But you have to be careful, because when they are making cocoons they hide themselves in the leaf very well.
Take a look at this. He's totally hidden. See, it's very hard to spot. He's just gluing the leaf together with silk. If I wasn't paying any attention, I would not have noticed. So be careful with throwing away the leaves. Inspect carefully, because there's cocoons in here. The rest of the caterpillars is still growing well, while others are already making cocoons. We should wait for a little while for them to spin up, making papery brown cocoons in the leaves. And now it's time to harvest the cocoons. You can just pull them off the substrate since they are pretty tough in my opinion. The silk of the cocoons is pretty strong if you give them time to finish the construction. Ladies and gentlemen, here are the cocoons of the pink spirit moth. I recommend putting them in a small insect cage and keeping them moist with a water sprayer, humidifier. Give them a very fine misting with water if you can. Pretty cool, huh? We did it, friends. One of the rarest moon moths on my YouTube channel. Now I've cut some of them open just to show you the pupa. Let's see which one. I think 2 of them are enough. Let's just twist the camera here a little bit so you can know what the pupa looks like. Here's the pupa of the Actias rhodopneuma. Do you see that? Pretty cool, pretty legendary animals. Lots of people are watching this being jealous, wishing that they could breed as insects like me. Wow, we did it. Now the cocoons of the pink spirit moth are a bit papery and thin. They remind me of the Luna moth, Actias luna to be honest, which is not that surprising, because the Luna moth is of course a direct relative of the pink spirit moth, both of them being a type of moon moth and the genus Actias. There you go, the pupa of rhodopneuma. See it? It's the real deal. And these cocoons can actually hibernate if you put them cold. If you do, I recommend a temperature that is way above freezing, because these are tropical insects. Believe it or not, but tropical insects can hibernate. This is a mountain species, so in their habitat, which I have been in by the way, it gets quite cold at night. So yes, these insects are naturally able to resist cold temperatures, even up to 5 or 7 degrees Celsius. Although I definitely do not recommend putting them colder than this, because if you put them colder than that, they could struggle. You can try though, just ask other breeders for experiences, I guess. And the pupa are looking healthy. That's that. Pink spirit moths, anyone? So I guess we will just wait for these dudes to hatch, which should take about 2 months or less on room temp. Let's go. Tick tock, tick tock. Do you have any clue how long I spent making videos like these? 5 weeks went by before I ever saw the first moths coming out. And that's fast. But then, one cocoon was empty. Oh dear, this one had come out of its shell. Whee, there you are! Our first beautiful moth, and I'm a proud daddy. It's difficult to show how pretty it is at night. Let's show you the colors in the day after in sunlight.
my god. Oh my god. We did it! We completed the life cycle of the pink Spirit Moth. Ooh, today is a cold day. Today is a wet and rainy day. But in my head, the sun is shining. This insect has been a dream of mine since I was a young boy. And finally it has come true. On YouTube, nonetheless. This rare and legendary insect was D1 on top of my list for years. I am a bit emotional right now. If I was one of those attention-seeking hungry YouTubers, this is the moment where I would cry. But I don't like to force my emotions to get views. But I am telling you, this is an emotional moment for me. The pink Spirit Moth is the pinnacle of Saturnid moths. It's the pinnacle of moon moths for sure. It is a rare and legendary animal that only very few people will get to breed in their lifetime. And I am one of the few. I am truly blessed and privileged. I don't care if this moment is going to come off a little bit silly on YouTube. This is my channel. I can be happy, I can be crazy if I want to, I don't care. If you think my enthusiasm is awkward, wow. This made my day, this made my week, this made my year. Oh my god, I have rarely ever in my life seen anything this extraordinarily beautiful. I have seen the greatest movies, the greatest music, the greatest art made by humans, and nothing comes close to the beauty that we see in nature. And it is such a massive shame that animals like these remain understudied and obscure. Most people even don't know that this species exists in the first place. Moths like these, every day, become threatened, go extinct, and nobody cares. Why is that? Why does everybody care about tigers and lions and panda bears, but nobody gives a shit about these? Man, it's a national treasure, isn't it? So I guess that's why I'm happy to have my channel. At least there is someone out there who cares. I try to educate people. And of course, I thoroughly enjoy it. Look at that. Now let's make some close-up, people. Let's start. This species is just exquisitely beautiful beyond imagination. Still, I'm not satisfied with a single male. The objective is to breed them. Soon, more males were coming out. Ladies and gentlemen, the result is in. Together, we raised some males of the legendary pink Spirit Moth together on my YouTube channel, one of the rarest elusive moon moths in the world. On my channel. One thing is missing though, and that is females. We have 1, 2, 3 males. The results are looking good, but not perfect, because we also have here a small deformed dwarf specimen. But these two other specimens are perfect quality. They are getting a little bit old though. As you can see, they already have a bit of damage on the wings. This one's still looking very good condition. This one a bit older. So it would make me happy if we can get perhaps a female pink spirit moth anytime soon? Is that too much to ask? Let's pray to the god of butterflies and moths. I feel like it could happen pretty soon, so we can have a pairing and produce another generation. That would be pretty cool. I endlessly breed species like these until the bloodline stops. I keep them all for myself. I'm that greedy. I love them. Color, shape, amazing. Amazing. Let's wait for a girl to arrive, I guess.
So the next day, I finally got what I needed.
Ladies and gentlemen, it finally happened. I have a cage with a surprise in here. Let's show you the surprise. Oh, it's a great one. You have to be really careful. There you go. Ta-da! It's the female! We have the female, the first females coming out of the cocoons of the pink spirit moth, Actias rhodopneuma. Female is really big compared to the male actually. This is long tails, big wingspan. I haven't measured how big, but wow. I didn't expect the female to be this big. Take a look at that. Is that not an incredible animal? It's interesting to see the tails are so long on the female as well. Usually females have shorter tails than the males, but here in this rhodopneuma species it is kind of the opposite, it seems. Super beautiful. Wow. So let's show you guys how to pair her with a male. I'm the sexy moth king, so of course I can.
This is the female. Unlike the male, she is rather pale. I always have difficulty describing their colors. Is it green or blue or white? I don't know. What do you think? In a lot of species of moon moths, the males and females have radically different colors, you see. These moths have no functional mouth parts, like most Saturnidae, and are thus short-lived. It's always so unfortunate that as a moth breeder you end up doing so much effort for animals that barely live for 2 weeks. This species is found in Laos, Cambodia, Vietnam, Burma, India and Thailand. There are probably multiple broods, with confirmed reports of a June flight in Laos and Vietnam. It also flies in June in the northwest Yunnan province in China. It's a species that flies in tropical highland forest. They are found, according to my knowledge, of altitudes about 1,000 to 3,000 meters in the mountains and perhaps higher in some places. What's interesting is that their habitat is hot during the day, 25 to 30 degrees Celsius, but radically cools down at night, sometimes to temperatures as low as 15 or 7 degrees Celsius. I guess you can say that makes them tolerant to both heat and cold, although their comfort zone is somewhere in the middle. Now let me tell you something about pairing this species. It's moderately easy if the bloodline is in good condition. After inbreeding, this species becomes harder to pair since they will be less attracted to brothers and sisters, especially after several generations. But good and healthy stock will face no trouble pairing when you have males and females. I've had breeders email me about the fact that their rhodopneuma moths refused to pair, but they were the 5th generation from the wild. So these are only the 2nd generation from the wild, so I guess they're easier to pair.
Actias rhodopneuma species pairing status report. The current temperature is 90.5 degrees Celsius. The humidity is not very relevant, but it's 76% relative humidity. It's mainly to show you the temperature. You see, I have been in the natural habitat of these moths and it gets pretty cold at night.
These moths come from tropical regions like Vietnam, Laos, etc. So people assume they need it very hot. This is not true because it's a high altitude species. I have literally been inside a tent in the exact place where this species flies in the wild. At night it cools down to 20 degrees Celsius. And then even later it cools down more to 15 degrees Celsius, 10 degrees. And at 5 o'clock in the morning it was 5 degrees Celsius, which was very cold. Now I think these moths, the activity is strange. It warmed up, probably because I'm holding the object, so my hands are warming it up, so don't read it. It was 19 degrees Celsius, 19.5. And these moths usually probably become active when it's cooling down, but also before it's very cold. So I would say a temperature of about 18 degrees Celsius is really perfect for these guys. I think they even prefer cooler nights over really scorching hot nights. It's a tropical species, but the habitat during the day it's very hot. I've been there, but during the night it gets surprisingly cold. The nights are much colder than in my own country, to be honest. So there's one to think about. After the pairing, the female will go on to lay a ridiculous amount of eggs. Rhodopneuma females can lay over 100 and sometimes up to 200 eggs. So soon it would be time to collect the babies she would produce. That's a good amount of eggs. The real question is, will they be fertile? Well, you could say obviously yes, because she paired. But you would be surprised, because this species can sometimes pair and produce infertile eggs. This is a common problem with the species in captivity. It seems that the prettiest species always come with the most complications. Personally, I know a lot of breeders who manage to pair these moths, but never got fertile eggs. This sounds very strange, but it's absolutely true. I've experienced it myself. I'm not sure why it happens. I'm just hoping it doesn't happen to me, really. So, but with some good luck, these should be fine. We will have babies. So yes, ladies and gentlemen, this is all there is left of the first moths that hatched. They are emperor moths, Saturnidae family. And as you know, this family of insect moths is very short-lived. But the second generation, it lives on. Because here I have a lot of eggs of Actias rhodopneuma, fertile eggs. And I have more coming, so I have thousands and thousands of eggs of Actias rhodopneuma. Funny thing is, it doesn't look like much, but it's actually very precious. These are eggs of one of the rarest and most difficult to obtain in captivity moon moths. There's not many people who are breeding these, so it is a bit of an exclusive thing. If I sold all these eggs, for sure this would be worth more than $100 for sure. Of course, monetary value is not the same as biological value or scientific value, but that's the kind of value I am interested in. I don't like to monetize biology or think in terms of money or give some weird capitalist value to every cool species of insects. I just want to study all of them. But I thought it was interesting that this stuff is more expensive than gold or caviar for sure. Not many people can breed this legendary insect, yeah. In here I have a few hundred eggs of one of the rarest and hardest to obtain species of moon moths in captivity. One of the rarest, not the rarest, but still, this is pretty valuable stuff that a lot of people would want to have. So one question that I get a lot is, Bart, do you sell them? Do you sell these eggs? The answer is yes. Sometimes I do sell and trade species. I do. However, not on YouTube, not in public. I prefer to sell and trade behind the scenes because my channel has so many viewers. Right now I have more than 20,000 subscribers. And if I place an advertisement online for 100 eggs, then I get requests for more eggs than I can sell, and I end up disappointing and turning down a lot of people. Because I get orders for like 1,000 eggs and I only have 100 eggs, so 90% of the people will be disappointed because I have so many customers. I always have more customers than what I can sell online. It sounds crazy, but it is. And from my experience, when you turn people down and say, sorry, I'm out of eggs, or you have to choose people, people get bitter, get disappointed, they get jealous. And this is why I sell butterflies and moths behind the scenes, in secret, not in public, on YouTube. I prefer to trade behind the scenes with some of the other best breeders in the world. I have a private emailing list of some other breeders that trade and sell eggs with me. But generally I do not sell them to the public, to the masses. And that's consciously so. I have very bad experience with selling to the public. And to be honest, I'm not really interested in becoming your personal supplier. I can show you on YouTube how to breed these awesome animals. I can show you all my breeding secrets, how I breed them. But I am not here to help you obtain pets. I'm so sorry. Even though it could be profitable, I am really interested in biology. I am interested in science and entomology, but I am not interested in becoming a commercial moth farmer, to be honest. I don't like the commercial aspect of the hobby that much. So I will leave the selling and trading to other people mostly, except my private circle of friends, my private mailing list of people that I do trade eggs with. That sounds very weird, it sounds very cryptic, but I get this question a lot, because here on YouTube I'm showing a lot of eggs of a species everybody wants to have. And I always get emails, can you sell this, can you sell this? The answer is no, I probably cannot. Second of all, this hobby is illegal in the United States. This hobby is illegal in Russia, this hobby is illegal in Asia. This hobby is illegal in India and Brazil, South America. It's a very bad idea to import non-native exotic insects to your country if you don't have a permit. You can get fucked over pretty hard legally. Don't try it. I cannot send eggs to the United States. I cannot send cocoons to the United States because it's illegal for you and I don't want to get you in trouble. Okay? Don't break the law. I just happen to live in a country, the Netherlands, where all of this is allowed, but for you it is most likely not. This is just to answer some of your questions that I get a lot. I know it sounds out of place in this video, but I have to remind, if you are in the United States, I cannot support sending you exotic insects. I don't think it's very responsible to break the law. You can get in actual trouble for this. Don't underestimate the US Fish and Wildlife Department. They will raid your house, you will get a fine, and if you ever want to get into biology, it's very bad if you are exposed for smuggling animals illegally. I obtained these insects 100% legally, but I live in one of the few countries in the world where this is possible legally. Where you live, it is most likely not. I'm sorry to disappoint. So, I get a lot of livestock questions for this species, that's why I'm saying it. Last video I posted about the pink spirit moth, I got like 20 emails of people wanting to buy, oh, can you sell me eggs? Can you sell me cocoons? No, I'm sorry. I am here to show you how to breed cool insects, but I am not here to be your personal supplier. I am not here to be your trader. I am not here to help you get insects, okay? I am not here to help you buy insects online. That's not what I'm for. I'm not interested in helping other people obtain the species they want. Sorry. And I also think that publicly trading animals on social media is not a good idea. It attracts the wrong kind of attention that I don't want. I want to be education, I want to be entertainment, but I don't want to be a live pet shop. Keep this in mind. Let's go. The eggs of this species hatch in about 2 weeks at room temperature. Tick tock, let's wait, my dear followers and fans. And there you go. Aw, babies, how cute. With this, the life cycle is finally finished. You know what to do. We will try to breed them again. This is the end. Life cycle from egg to moth complete. Celebration time! My hair looks awesome today. But you know what else is awesome? Hundreds and hundreds of Actias rhodopneuma babies. Can you see them? The baby caterpillars are hatching from the eggs. And there's literally hundreds of them coming out right now. Life cycle complete. Hairstyle not complete. Oops, probably need to fix that. Anyway, that was the life cycle of Actias rhodopneuma. I am very proud. And don't mind the war sound outside. It is New Year's Eve right now. Yeah, hear that? That's fireworks. It's not a war zone. I have bred so many moon moth species by now. The list is getting short. I've raised Actias isis, Actias menas, Actias dilkinae, Actias luna, Actias gnoma, Actias artemis, Actias dubernardi, Actias selene, Actias ningpoana. What else is there? I've raised all the commonly available species. So it's getting really hard now for me to obtain species of moon moths that I haven't bred yet. Most of them are also on my channel in some way or form. Huh. What's next? I need something like Actias chappai, Actias felicis, or maybe Actias nighthooferi. Who knows? It's kind of funny, isn't it? Anyway, I'm very glad that we fixed the life cycle together of Actias rhodopneuma as a special species. It's hard to get, so it's really a privilege to have them on my channel. Thank you every breeder who sent me eggs of these to help me for my breeding program. It was an awesome experience. It was one of my dream species. It's one of the top species, to be honest. So there's that. Yeah, I feel good about it. And also a bit sad, because I'm completing the list of all the cool moon moths and soon there will be nothing left. I'm only 27. So when I'm 30 or 40, maybe I've raised all the moon moths, who knows. At least there's maybe still stuff like comet moths I can try. Let's move on to the discussion part of the video, because the life cycle is over. It's over. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for watching another episode of MothCycles. I am really grateful that you are my audience. I'm really grateful to have so many people online watching my content. That truly makes me happy. And if you are new here and it's the first episode of this web series that you watched, I'm gonna tell you what happens after breeding the insect. We have the breeding part, and then we have the discussion where I usually educate people about the biology of the species that we show today. Because I think it's important to educate people about the animals we are watching on YouTube. Otherwise it's just shallow entertainment. I want people to learn about these species as well, and not just view them as pets or things to possess in captivity. But before we do that, I have to give myself a rating. Giving myself a rating is a weird tradition I kept since the second episode of MothCycles. And I'm starting to doubt if I should keep doing it. It's weird to give myself a rating. It's a bit useless, to be honest, to rate yourself. But let me tell you a story about failure. This species has been probably one of my favorite moths since childhood. And I've been waiting for so long to have an opportunity to raise it. And I actually tried to raise them earlier, because last year I got my hands on some eggs. And what happened was really sad. as the caterpillars approached maturity, they died. They died in the final instar. It's a terrible shame. But this is actually my second time trying to breed this species, and this time I was successful. But what was really painful, that last year I tried to breed my dream species that I always wanted to breed, and I failed. Yes, and I think that's important to tell, because a lot of YouTubers pretend to be flawless experts who can breed everything they can put their mind to. And I'll be honest, I think I can breed any species I put my mind to. But not the first time. A lot of this is trial and error. And yes, I have failures too. I have trials and I have errors. This time I'm successful, and I would rate my breeding of this species, I guess, well, the survival rate was okay. I would rate it a 7 out of 10. But let me tell you the story of my failure. Yes, that's right, ladies and gentlemen. 1 year ago I tried to raise this species for you for a MothCycles episode, and at the beginning the breeding was going pretty well. But by the final instar, the caterpillars started becoming sick, and they started dying. How insane is that? And this was perhaps one of the most sad moments of my YouTube channel, because this was a dream species I've wanted to raise for years, and I failed. I felt pretty terrible about myself. My self-esteem kind of crashed, and I thought of myself as a failure because of this. But I guess the moral is the story that trial and error can be normal sometimes. And I guess the moral of the story is keep trying if you want to be successful. Well, there I am. This is Bart Coppens, the guy who pretends to be able to breed everything on YouTube. Truth is, I can't. Nobody can, in fact, but that's a different story. But maybe it's a good moment to reflect upon the concept of failure. First of all, when things like this happen, it really fucks me up, because I am disproportionately mentally and emotionally invested in this hobby. You may have noticed it when you watch my YouTube channel. The fact that I upload hundreds and hundreds of videos of butterflies and moths every year is already a sign that I'm probably a lot more obsessed than the average person. Second of all, I honestly don't have much going on in my life except for moths. That may sound pretty sad, but it's my personal choice, okay? It's not like I'm some sort of hermit who is lonely, but it's my personal choice. But still, that means that when things do go wrong, it fucks me up extra hard, you know? Because for other people it's just a hobby, but for me it's my life. And the fact that I have a successful YouTube channel about this hobby doesn't help, you know? Because the good moments are really good and the bad moments are really bad if your whole life revolves around this thing that you're doing. So when it crashes and burns, you also crash and burn. And I think it's also a good moment to reflect upon failure. Let me tell you that a lot of things here behind the scenes fail. A lot of species die, a lot more than I would ever post on YouTube. Let me also tell you that breeding butterflies and moths is a difficult hobby. It's true. You won't hear people say that or admit that. But this is a damn difficult hobby. Let me tell you, there's never going to be a guarantee of success. No matter how much moths or butterflies you want to breed in your life, you're never going to be having 100% success and breed whatever you want. This hobby is not like that. This is a brutal hobby. It's one of trial and error. It's one of bitter failure. So here's one anecdote. A friend of mine once raised the rarest moon moth in the world. It was the Actias chapai. And well, he had to go on a trip for like a few weeks. And all the moths hatched when he was not at home. I mean, of course, you could have seen this coming, right? You could say, well, maybe you take preventive measures, but sometimes it's inevitable. I mean, even if you are there, even if you're taking preventive measures when you're not there, there's nothing you can do, right? And the other option is staying at home and babysitting the cocoons all day. But that's not really an option for people who work, who have a private life, who have friends. And this hobby basically it absorbs your life in such a way that it starts to absorb these basic things in your life, like friendships, for social life, whatever. So it's basically like almost like an addiction, really. So today I'm really sad and kind of heartbroken. That's what it feels like. It feels like almost feels like I have been in a relationship and I got a text from like my ex that she wanted to break up with me. That's how it literally feels. Maybe because I'm obsessed, but am I going to stop? No, I'm not. I'm not going to stop. I mean, if I was a guy that likes to give up, I would have given up years ago. So I promise you now, someday I am going to remake this video and I'm going to be successful. This is a promise. I am going to breed Actias rhodopneuma for you and I will be successful.
The moral of the story is keep trying if you fail. Breeding moths is difficult. I'm gonna be honest. I've done it for over 10 years. I've probably raised over 200, 300 moth species by now. So I have experience, but I still have a lot of failures, and I don't think it doesn't matter how experienced you become, you will always have failures. It's always going to be trial and error. Don't look too much at the people online who have a lot of rare species and become jealous of them because they seem better of you. I guarantee you, those kind of people, behind the scenes, they also have more success but also more failure. But they don't show it online. That's the secret. It's about trying and trying a lot. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for watching. It means a lot to me. And now we are going to move on to the internet begging part of my video. It's an obligatory and obnoxious part of my videos, unfortunately. But as a demonetized small content creator, I have no other options at the moment. Over the years, I will show you the life cycles of all the cool Saturniidae, all of them. There is no other YouTube channel who does this on this scale and this quality. This is the only channel where you are going to see all the life cycles of moths like these. The only and the best one, that's right. And I'm going to show you life cycles of species like these. Comet moths, moon moths, atlas moths, everything. But it all takes a lot of time and it all takes a lot of effort and it takes a lot of resources. Which is why I'm reaching out to my subscribers. Let's start the annoying begging part of my video. Today we are going to talk about the subject matter of our video today, the pink spirit moth. I hope you enjoyed my video. Let's talk about some of the biology of this species. A lot of YouTubers make videos about breeding animals, but explain very little about the animals that they actually breed. This is wrong in my opinion. The interest is there and we should always be obliged to learn about the species we keep in captivity. Otherwise we are simply breeding them for their appearance, which is pointless and wasteful in my opinion. Why would you want to keep an animal you don't want to learn about? A lot of people on social media keep pets as objects of their desire, objects of status and wealth, and objects to get attention and views with. Of course, me and my insects get a lot of attention and views too, but my philosophy is different in that I find
The worst type of pet owners are those who are not willing to immerse themselves in learning about the environment, but are rather motivated by greed, or animals as objects to possess. To me, anyone breeding an animal but not learning about its biology is kind of wasteful and useless. Therefore, I'm going to tell you about the moth species we have just raised for 2 generations, and hopefully you will learn something about their biology too. Before we begin, a disclaimer. This presentation uses copyrighted photos and illustrations which I am allowed to use under the Fair Use law, which allows me to use these images in a transformative and educational way. This video is demonetized and I gain nothing from making this, and for non-commercial purposes the Fair Use law allows me to use these materials. Actias rhodopneuma, the pink spirit moth, is a legendary rarity. These moths are not commonly collected by collectors and are not commonly bred by breeders. So the fact it is on my channel at all is a huge surprise. This species is hard to get, even for me. And only people who are lucky will ever be able to breed it in their lifetimes. Unfortunately, eggs and cocoons of this species are also quite expensive, and so are dead specimens of these animals. One female moth can sell for up to $150. Valuable! Anyways, I am measuring, I'm careful with measuring the value of an organism in what greedy collectors will pay for it, but you understand my point, I hope. With Microsoft Paint, I try to make a map of their distribution for you. Keep in mind it may not be 100% accurate since there are not that much extensive records of this species, and that I use some of my imagination to extrapolate its range, which may not be very accurate, but it seems more or less like this. This is a map of the country of India. In India, the pink spirit moth seems to be mainly found in the northeast. In particular, the state known as Assam and Nagaland. Both Assam and Nagaland are mountainous regions, with subtropical but also evergreen tropical forest found in pockets. Over 20% of the landmass area cover is forest. Despite the ongoing deforestation, it is still a haven for wildlife today. There is largely a monsoon climate with high humidity levels. Temperatures range from 21 to 40 degrees Celsius. In winter, temperatures do not generally drop below 4 degrees Celsius. But frost is common at high elevations. Since the pink spirit moth is a subtropical species where it flies, there is actually a colder winter season too. This is a map of Laos. I tried to fill in the distribution of the pink spirit moth in Laos, but there is a problem. Laos is not super accessible for biologists or researchers, so there is no extensive data to make a range map with. However, it seems to me this species has been found in the north and central of Laos, from the border of China up to the city of Luang Prabang. Now, the country of Laos is a paradise for moon moths, just like southern China, so of course this species is there. Once again, here it is found in a subtropical forest on higher altitudes. In Thailand, the species is rare and interestingly protected by the law. Perhaps it's because this species, which is iconic, is distributed only in the Nan province in northern Thailand, in particular in Chiang Mai and Doi Phuket National Park. If you ever visit Thailand, these places are a haven for wildlife and subtropical species at higher elevation forests. Burma or Myanmar. This species is also reported in Burma, reportedly central Burma and more. However, it was very difficult for me to find exact locality data. This is because of the history of Myanmar or Burma. Travel to Myanmar or Burma, referring to its former name, is hot on the Southeast Asia travel trail right now. Yet, as a country which has only recently opened its doors to tourism over the past decade, traveling there means facing many challenges that you do not necessarily encounter on the same scale as other countries in the region. Infrastructure is only just beginning to spring to life, and The art of the tourist trade is still in a developing process, and yet every second of the long journey times, the energy expended in the daily frustrations. The patience and sign language needed to cross the language barrier is worth it for the rewarding experience if you will travel to Myanmar. It's a beautiful country that is very much untouched. However, because of this, biologists have rarely ever visited Myanmar for research. There could be a lot of species out there in Burma that we don't even know, and a lot of populations we have never seen. The good news is that because the tourist industry is developing in Myanmar, it may become more popular to tourists in the future, and maybe it will be easier to travel there in the future. Maybe this will allow the first wave of biologists to moth trap there and find new species in the future, who knows? There are some reports of this species in Myanmar, but so little researchers visited, I cannot make a definite conclusion. If you have more information about this country and the Saturnidae there, please let me know. In Vietnam, I am aware of the species in the provinces of Com Tum, Sao Bang and Lao Sai, which are highlighted by red. Interestingly, all of the populations live in or around border regions, probably because the species is distributed towards the mainlands, away from the coastal regions. The borders with Laos, Cambodia and China may have overlapping populations with Vietnam. Vietnam, by the way, is a beautiful country with a lot of wildlife. I would visit it someday. In China, reports have been found in the southern provinces of Yunnan, Guangxi and Guangdong. Keep in mind, I colored the entire provinces here, while in reality they tend to be in the southern half of these southern provinces, hugging the most subtropical parts of China. And with this we have covered most of the range, as is currently known to me, but we have one country left. Much to my surprise, in 2014 one person has claimed to have found it in Cambodia for the first time. The record is stated as Northern Cambodia. This sounds vague. I tried to contact this person for details. His name was Robert Voitou, and he is a very well-known name in the world of Saturnidae. He was a moth trapper and famous for his Saturnidae hybridization experiments. Unfortunately, I have learned that Robert has since passed away and left this world. May he rest in peace. Since he was the only person I know of that has found and confirmed this species in Cambodia, and since this person is now dead, I am unable to verify the location, but I know the report is valid. It would make the most sense to me if they were found in the northeast in the region bordering Laos, but if you have more information about this species, please email me, and take this with a grain of salt until we have a stronger confirmation. Ah, Cambodia, that brings back memories. Did you know I used to research moths in Cambodia myself? I plan to return there in the future, I hope, to finish my work. I've only visited it once for about a month. As an introduction, Cambodia has a high research potential when it comes to moths in my opinion. It's a country close to my heart. I love its nature and its people. Shout out to Cambodia, the country with some of the most kind people in the world and richest cultural histories. Now let's talk about the habitat of this species, which perhaps is just as fascinating as the insect itself. Let's go! The regions here highlighted in green are a special place. They are classified as the subtropics. This important information to remember because there is a huge difference between the tropics and the subtropics. You see, the tropics and tropical ecosystems around our world are the region of the planet that are so close to the equator that they do not experience much seasons, and they enjoy relatively climatic stability. Now, of course, some tropical regions do have seasons in the form of dry seasons and monsoons, for example. However, most importantly, tropical ecosystems and countries generally do not suffer from heavy temperature fluctuations. This is a photo of the subtropical forest in Laos, Nam Et Phu Lui Natural Park. Here it's certainly warm, and it harbors tropical vegetation and fauna. During the daytime, temperatures are around 25 degrees Celsius, which is pleasantly warm. Here is a photo of Nam Et Phu Lui Park in winter, where the woman is standing, although the picture of the snowy palm tree is taken in Vietnam. Now please keep in mind that ice and snow are still extremely rare in these places, even in the colder season. It rarely ever happens. Usually subtropical winters are comfortable and frost-free with temperatures of 5 to 10 degrees Celsius. However, the fact that it does and can happen, even in rare cases, is a good way for me to visualize that yes, these subtropical regions do have more seasonal variations than people expect. This is the major difference between tropical and subtropical. Our species, Actias rhodopneuma, is a subtropical species, which means that yes, they actually do have a winter in the colder season. Although said winter is extremely mild and generally above the freezing temperature, it is still there. Remember Chiang Mai, the place in Thailand where this species lives? Here is a climatic chart of the annual temperatures. The minimum temperature seems to dip to 15 degrees Celsius in the colder season at its lowest, which is mildly chilly, although the maximum temperatures still reach 30, which is hot. From the curve we can tell that yes, there is a seasonal dip in temperature, however mild. It should be noted that rhodopneuma is a higher altitude species, so as we ascend with altitude, so do temperatures become even lower, and basically it becomes colder the higher you go. Since this chart is for the city of Chiang Mai and not the surrounding regions where the microclimate varies with altitude, these colder fluctuations may be even more pronounced in the highlands where rhodopneuma flies. Subtropical forests are moist broadleaf forests covering portions of Asia. Most of them are Vietnam, Laos, Thailand, Myanmar, China's Yunnan province, and basically in the range of Actias rhodopneuma I have described before. These forests often have a subtropical monsoon climate. Rainfall is very high seasonally, falling most with the summer monsoon from the Bay of Bengal and the southern China Sea between April to October. From November to March, westerly winds from continental Asia create cooler and dry conditions. January is the coldest month, and pre-monsoon spring temperatures are generally the hottest. Mean temperatures are generally lower as elevation increases, and infrequent frost occurs at higher elevations. These forests include a mix of subtropical plants to the Himalaya and southern China, with tropical lowland forest species. Mature forests form a three-layered canopy up to 30 meters high. Trees from the plant family such as the Teaceae, Magnoliaceae, the Fagaceae are predominant. Montane broadleaf evergreen forests occur from 600 to 800 meters elevation up to 2000 meter elevation. The subtropical montane species are predominant and the tropical lowland species are absent. The deciduous broadleaf trees and conifers are found at high elevations. It's in these forests that they fly. Typically they fly from altitudes from 1000 to 3000 meter elevation, tropical broadleaf mountain subtropical forest. Wow, that's a whole mouthful. While they are mountain species that thus prefer higher altitudes, they are still found in areas where the days are rather hot and the nights are cool, but never higher than the angiosperm tree line. In some subtropical forests, the higher the elevation, the colder it becomes, and the more gradually angiosperm forest is replaced by gymnosperm forest. The mostly stick to the angiosperm forest since they are not able to feed in high altitude coniferous trees that are not their host plants. It seems that this species has 2 to 3 broods per year and consecutively hibernates in winter. Please keep in mind that the winter in its habitat is short and relatively warm. Suspending its development in the pupa for 2 or 3 months would be sufficient to skip the cooler part of the year already. Interesting is the host plant. To me, it's a complete mystery. In fact, discovering the host plant of this moth in the wild would be a big discovery in my opinion. It would be important for their conservation and ecology. The caterpillars have never been found in the wild as far as I know. So wait, the host plant is totally unknown to science? That's right. So how the hell do you breed them? Well, the crazy thing is that in captivity, the caterpillars can eat a lot of plants, including ones that don't grow in Asia or in their habitat at all. One thing people have noted is the caterpillars are really fond of the plant family Anacardiaceae. This includes plants such as sumac or rus, cotinus or smoke tree, schinus or pepper tree, pistachio and Mangifera indica or mango. Interesting is that some of these plants don't grow in its native habitat at all, but perhaps it indicates there could be a native plant from the Anacardiaceae family that they feed on in the wild? Who knows, this is just speculation. Sweet gum or liquid amber is another plant that they are willing to feed on. It's no surprise, since many species of saturniids from Asia absolutely love this plant species. And this is the tree that I used to raise them in my video. Perhaps there are more host plants that the caterpillars eat that haven't been found yet, so it's good to experiment. A rarity. Or is it? Well, this species is not super rare in the wild, but it is uncommonly collected by humans. This is mainly due to several complicated factors. It is hard to legally export material from the countries where it flies on some occasions. For example, in Vietnam and Thailand, two countries where it flies, the insect is protected by law. In India, there are many laws and regulations in place that make it difficult to obtain collecting or export permits. In Myanmar, Burma and Laos, it can be hard for tourists and visitors to penetrate the rural and remote places where they fly, such as mountain forest and moth trap there. In China, permits are required and only granted if you have Chinese collaborators, which are often required to accompany you in the field. The same is true of national parks in Cambodia, for example. On top of that, the insect can be strongly seasonal and requires one to be at the right time at the year at the right place. Flight time often differs per country, and it flies on higher altitudes in the mountains, and that makes it logistically more challenging to trap moths there. Even then, they do not come to lights very abundantly. Females are more shy than males and are rarely collected. That being said, please consider this is a species that has a large distribution, all the way from China to Thailand to Cambodia to India, a distribution that covers more ground than a lot of Saturniidae species we consider to be more common. Please keep in mind that rarity is often a very artificial concept with no biological basis. It has more to do with various logistical challenges that make certain species more difficult to capture for human beings. It is not a concept with any biological value that pertains to their ecology. That being said, Actias rhodopneuma is uncommonly collected and sadly their populations are declining because of deforestation. They need mountain forest in Asia. But despite that information, as of today it's important to remember this species has a wider distribution in a lot of big and still untouched forests than many more rarely collected Saturniidae that receive less special attention. Perhaps because they are less pretty looking. Thank you for watching this episode. It's a long one. I've worked on it for many months. My channel is demonetized and now we will switch to the regular crowdfunding program. Now let me tell you a nice story. Did you know that I've actually worked in Laos myself? And I was investigating the local species of Saturniidae there. Of course, a lot of it is already known. I'm a newbie, I'm not an experienced researcher. It was my first time traveling away from Europe to Asia, so it was all new. So it wasn't like this big research expedition, it was also me just getting used to the landscape. But they asked me, Bart, what species would you like to see or research? And I said, the pink spirit moth, Actias rhodopneuma. I want to catch one in the wild. So me and the team, actually we went to the habitat of this species in the wild. And I slept there on a mountaintop in a tent. And I had a moth trap. I had a guide and some personnel helping me, and we were using the light to attract a lot of moths. Unfortunately, I did not find the species I was looking for, the pink spirit moth. So it's pretty ironic that later I am able to get eggs in captivity, because I literally went to another country. I went to forest to find this species and I didn't find it, but I found them online in my home country. It's pretty crazy that it's easier for me to buy a species online than it is to find them myself in the wild. That's food for thought. Anyway, my YouTube channel has existed for a long time, like 7 years, and I had a camera with me. I filmed the experience, but I have to apologize that the video is really bad, because back then I was not a very experienced YouTuber. I was not experienced with filming and editing, so the footage became kind of shitty and weird. Sorry for the language, but if you want to see, I still have the video. I will show it to you now. It's me catching moths in Laos around Lang Prabang, 1800 meters altitude, in the habitat of Actias rhodopneuma. Let's show you.
Indian data.
It was good here. Most of the time it passes on top, you know.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, it's so steep, so just speed over.
The other clearing.
What's up everyone? So most of you already know the genus Cricula, which is a genus of small Saturniidae moths, but fewer people know about its relative, its more colorful cousin, of which I just found a male here in Laos, and it is the genus Limarea, and I'm really impressed by its colors right now. It's small but has a very detailed pattern. Unfortunately it's a male, so I will be doing no breeding with this species. Although there's still a small chance that a female will come to my trap. Although females are more rare. I'm in their habitat, so there's a chance it will happen. Either way, I'm happy to show this Saturniidae, which is not one I've seen before, showed before on my YouTube channel. So I am trapping moths in Laos, and today my light trap attracted one very common species. And although it's common, it's really nice to see. It's the Lissa zampa, tropical Australasian type of Uranidae moth. And I believe their host plant is Endospermum. They have a really unique biology where they can have a synchronized peak flights, and they can be scarce for many years. Up until all of them hatch from their cocoons at the same time, causing a huge peak in population and a synchronized flight. For example, in Singapore one time this moth was so common that it was considered a pest, where it basically engulfed the entire city and all the lights of the city with millions and millions of individuals. I do not know if the Lissa zampa is breedable. I do not know if anyone has tried, but it could be very challenging and complicated. I will see what I can do about trying to figure out the life cycle of this beautiful insect in captivity. Last but not least, here's one fun fact. In some cultures, people believe that these moths are the souls of relatives and friends that have died, returning to the underworld. And for that reason, In these cultures, people do not like to harm them and see them as sacred. It's certainly a very common moth, but despite its commonness, it's really fascinating and mysterious, and we don't know that much about it. So there you go. So I'm moth trapping here in a higher elevation location. And very common is this Trabala species here. Collected one male and one female for this video, but in reality there are many of them. The male is green and the female is yellow. On my YouTube channel I bred many Trabala before, mainly Trabala Vishnu, but I'm not sure if this is the same species. Somehow it looks different from the other Trabala that I've seen. Guess I'm gonna take the eggs home and breed them to find out. So stay tuned. So I'm trapping in highland now instead of lowland, and I just caught this strange looking, oh god, this strange looking male of Cricula. I don't think it's Trifenestrata, I think it's the Cricula Andrei perhaps. It's very differently colored, so I think I just ruined the specimen, but yeah, these guys need some research. Okay, so I'm sitting at the light. It's really late, like 5 o'clock. It's getting real cold here at the mountain. And I just catch this huge ass female of a leopard moth. So I have no clue of the genus yet or the species, but wow. Look at that shit. She's huge. One of the bigger, and she's licking eggs everywhere. So this is all good news, because I'm gonna breed the hell out of this species when I come home.
สั่งแต่ง่ายๆเราเช็ดที่แบบลงไม้ลงไม่หักหักผ้าหักแบบก็ใส่
The reason I didn't find any, because it was off season. When I was catching moths there, I was too far into the dry season, and they tend to fly there more after the rains in the wetter season. Then again, never say never. Actually, many moth trappers, they moth trap in the wet season, but not in the dry season for this reason. Because in the dry season there is less moths. But my attitude was, well, maybe we find something interesting, moth trapping during a time that nobody else is moth trapping, because it's the bad season. But maybe there are some species there that people haven't seen yet, because nobody moth traps there in the bad season. I didn't find the rhodopneuma, but as you could see in the video, I did see a whole lot of moths. One of my dreams is actually to go back there and return and moth trap some more and film the experience in high definition. My cameras have improved, my filming technique has improved. I have new cameras, I have a GoPro. Fortunately, traveling abroad is pretty expensive. That sucks. So, but I think that's a good analogy to start the next segment. You know what part it is? Let's go.
Ladies and gentlemen, how do I look with glasses? Why am I wearing them? Is my eyesight that bad? Well, I don't know. I just found these in my room and they look silly, so I want to know what I look like. Ooh, look at this sexy insect nerd. Huh? No, just kidding. We're here for something different. Allow me to introduce myself, if you don't know me yet. My name is Bart Coppens. And I am a moth enthusiast from the Netherlands. I am really enthusiastic about moths. I write about them constantly. I make videos about them constantly. I film them, I breed them, I collect them. But I've also worked with them professionally. I've worked in Asia a long time ago already, studying butterflies and moths, being responsible for breeding and conservation programs for butterfly gardens, and more. I work at the Natural History Museum. I support scientific collections of many natural history museums. You can see all of this on my channel if you are curious, and if you want to see evidence of all of this. But most importantly, I am a YouTuber with a demonetized YouTube channel. What does that mean? Being demonetized means that when people click on my videos, I don't make a single penny. That's a bit unfair, because other YouTubers, when they get views, they get money. And this allows them, I guess, to upgrade their channel, upgrade their equipment. But without income, it is a bit difficult for me. So what I did is crowdfunding. I am 100% a crowdfunded person. And it's really the donations I receive via my channel that give me the free time to make episodes like these. I don't know if you are aware how long it took me to make a video like this, but this one has been in production for 6 months. That's a long time. And if you want to film the life cycle of an insect, it's hard work. You have to get up every day and film the development, the larva growing, each instar, each life stage, every time a moth hatches, every time something happens for many, many months. And simply put, time is money. I know it sucks, we live in a capitalist world where we have to justify our very existence with money and capital. It sucks, I know. But I'm really forced to beg for donations on the internet. Ta-da! So if you like my content, consider giving me a monetary tip or contribution. You do it not because I'm a charity case. I'm an adult. I can pay my bills. I can work. The budget is purely used to produce new videos for your entertainment. And if you like the show and you would like to see it continue, consider subscribing to my Patreon, where you can buy a subscription for as little as $1 per month, for example. Or you can send via PayPal, LiberaPay, and there's many links in the descriptions. I have stuff like Etsy, Amazon. I don't like begging, it feels a bit humiliating to me. It's kind of a bruise on my ego. But at the same time, I am, I guess, dependent on it. I wish it wasn't true. But I'm really dependent on it to make these kind of videos. This is a lot of work for only a few thousand views, because these videos are long and they are for specialists. Not everybody has the energy to watch a video about one moth species for like 2 hours. That's crazy. So there's a very little audience for a lot of work. And it's really my sponsors who compensate for this. Thank you for watching. Thank you for everybody who watches. I know the economy is not doing well. Not everybody can donate. That's fine. I don't expect you to. It's just for those who are willing and able. I have to throw the reminder out of there all the time. But yeah, if you do, you are helping me make more episodes of MothCycles. And if that's something you want, consider joining. Hey, see ya. But before we continue, I have some good news. You see, my internet begging recently has paid off, and we have one special sponsor that has funded me for several months. Let's give him a special thanks. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to finish this episode on a happy note. Well, it already was a happy note, but I'm going to give it an even happier note. I have an announcement. You see, recently I have received a donation. Now that is nothing new. I receive donations all the time, because my channel is crowdfunded. YouTube is not giving me a paycheck, so it's what my viewers give me what I have to work with. For that I am very thankful. But recently I received a donation, and what sets this donation apart is the amount. I've been doing YouTube in 7 years, and it's more than I've ever received in 7 years combined, probably. It was enough for me to take several months off work in order to make YouTube content. I'm not going to disclose the exact amount for privacy reasons, but you can use your imagination and imagine that is a lot of support. Of course, I'm also thankful for everybody else who donated, because there is an economic recession right now, and I understand not everybody can afford it to help out. Therefore, we try not to be judgmental, and I think every contribution, no matter how big or small, is significant. Not everybody can afford to show a large level of support, nor do I expect people to. So I try not to discriminate. But we live in a capitalist world, and in a capitalist world, unfortunately, numbers matter. Despite that, I want to thank this anonymous person who is not that anonymous. He didn't want me to share his identity, which is understandable, but he allows me to share with you his first name. His first name is Rob. So it would only be very appropriate to thank Rob thoroughly for this episode. It is this person who had my back during the production of several long, big videos. Thank you very much, Rob. Therefore, we are going to have a little celebration. Oh yes, ladies and gentlemen. Every episode that Rob has allowed me to make, we will see these sparkles. Come on, do it. Don't take long, please. This episode already is too long. Oh, no, no, no. Every time. When am I ever going to be able to do it on the first try, ladies and gentlemen? Probably never. Let's try again. My fire making level is too low. Oh my god. Man. Oof. People like me should not be allowed to handle fire, to be honest. I'm a Are you serious? Come on, I don't have that much matches. Come on, come on, come on, come on, do it, do it, do it, do it. Please, please, I beg you. Go on fire. Yes, we did it. And now quickly relight the first one with the second one. Yes. Don't directly look into them. These things produce bright light. So, ta-da-da-da-da-da. Yes, that's right. For this episode, we have to thank this person really for a level of support that I have not experienced so far on YouTube. I'm grateful for all the generous people who helped me out over the past few years. I value all of you. You are special people. But in this instance, we are going to give a special thanks to one person. Oh man, these sparks are hot. How are these legal? I'm burning here. Let's hope my camera doesn't catch on fire. Yay! Whee. I hope you enjoyed the episode. The pink spirit moth is a pretty rare and unique insect. I didn't expect that I would ever get to breed it, let alone film its life cycle. It's a huge privilege. Not many people get to do this. So... And I hope that the next episode I will see you again, of course. I'm working on many MothCycles episodes. Right now there was winter, so I could not make much YouTube videos. Winter is a terrible time to do YouTube, especially if you film insects. Because there's not much going on when everything is overwintering. But yeah, there you go. Yeah, oh god. Man, these things are falling apart. I better hold them further to the camera. Gee whiz. Oh yeah. Me being a demonetized content creator with not that much subscribers, it means a lot when stuff like this happens. And we all have you to thank for it. Whew, the sparks. I should probably hold them a bit higher. That's better. That's better. Oh yeah. There we go. Ladies and gents. Bart Coppens for US President. Would you vote for me? I can breathe smoke. Most presidents can do that. Donald Trump, Joe Biden, and Obama certainly could not do this. Hey, thank you guys so much. I appreciate it. Hopefully the show will grow even bigger. Bye bye, the show must go on. Hi everyone, and thanks for watching. My name is Bart Coppens, a traveling entomologist from the Netherlands. Working with moths used to be my hobby, but thanks to my exposure on YouTube and social media, it became my job. Thank you for following my travels in Laos and Cambodia, which is part of the video series.
Hãy subscribe cho kênh Ghiền Mì Gõ để không bỏ lỡ